So, welcome to another day or adventure here with Gents Making Sense. It's Mr. Matters here. We're going to do this a little different with our Valentine's special. We have our couples on the panel, so we're going to let everybody introduce themselves.
It's your boy B Rock.
I'm Marissa.
Crystal.
I'm Main Wayne, of course.
So, we're going to do this episode as kind of a men versus women idea, Mars versus Venus, if you will. The first thing we're going to talk about is men showing feminine energy and women showing masculine energy. So, not to mansplain it to anybody out there, but sometimes people have stronger, we'll say, personalities than others, and sometimes people take the back seat, and that's where we go into the idea of how we feel on this. So, I'm going to open it up to the panel first. Mr. B Rock, how do you feel on this? Like,
We're just basically gonna give our opinions on it. So you just give your opinion and we'll just go down the line.
I mean, men can be, sensitive within the time frame of like when they sick, ill, down, things of that nature. Women can be more masculine when it comes to I say like priorities, certain things that have to be done within a time frame, or just being really quick on certain things. That's my little input on it. But
let me get you. Marissa, how do you feel on the whole thing? Like, do you think it's a bad thing for people to have either side, for men to be more feminine or women to be more masculine?
No, I don't think so. I mean, everybody has their opinions to things, and like some men are more sensitive than the others, and that doesn't really mean that they're feminine. Yeah, and then women, some wear baggy clothes and don't wear any makeup, but some dress up and wear makeup. That doesn't.
I get what you're saying. Crystal, how do you feel on the whole viewpoint here?
For me, I look at it in more of a not so much like in touch with your emotions type, making that feminine, because I don't find that as feminine. I think that's just a human nature. For me, when I think of like men with feminine energy, it's women are made to want a masculine, manly man. So we don't want a man that we have to feel like we have to do everything for, and we have to take care of him, and we have to baby him, and all of that kind of stuff.
So you don't want like essentially another child to have to raise.
Exactly, and it's not. And some people want to get into it and say, well, we want wives and da da da. That's fine. We can be your wife. We're not here to be your mother. So I'm not talking about cooking and cleaning and all that stuff. That's normal stuff everybody has to do. But when you've got a man who can't think for himself, and stuff like that, that's where I find it more feminine, I guess you could say. But as far as like women with masculine energy, I have like, I don't know, that kind of touches home for me. Because that was an argument him and I had in the beginning of our relationship, was that he was always saying I had so much masculine energy. Well, I've been a single mom for a majority of my mom life. I've had to be the masculine and feminine. I've had to do everything, and I've had to be more.
Shout out to single parents out there.
Strong, yes,
Shout out.
strong and independent. And that's foreseen as masculine energy to men. And I don't want to be masculine. I want to be feminine, but I need someone who can allow me to be feminine and take over the masculinity, which I was able to do, and I found, thank God.
I know. I was about to turn it over to Jesse with that because I didn't know.
But that's one thing we argued about. Well, actually, it was prior to us getting together. That was like, he would be like, "You're just so like masculine all the time, blah blah." And I'm like, "No, I handle my business and I do what I got to do because I'm a single mom."
Right.
And he couldn't understand that aspect of it, which I get it. He's never been a single mom, so how could he understand
Hopefully,
that?
right?
Yeah.
But,
and so for me, that's how I see the masculine and feminine energy thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing either way. Some women like feminine men, if you want to call it that. Some women like to be the dominator, if you will, in the relationship and kind of run things. And some women want a man who takes control and not necessarily being controlling, but is the man in the relationship.
No, I get you. Main Wayne, how you feeling?
How I feel about this, I'm gonna keep it all the way real. So when I see a masculine energy with a female, it's a spirit animal of a bear, and you always gotta fight that bear, club that bear, put a booby trap for that bear. You're always in argumentative things with the masculine energy woman. And this, you gotta find. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm keeping it real. Women can always change their energy. That's the whole thing. Men can always change their energy. The reason women don't like feminine men, think about this. Intruder comes into the house, and then your man be like, "Babe, you got it." What would you do as a female? What would you do as a female? Keep it real. What would you do as a female?
Are you
Babe, you got it. Nah.
Run.
You want that man to come down there with the Glock? You want him to come down there with his throwing his fist on his hands? He be like, "Ooh, baby, ooh." See, we gotta keep it real. I'm a traditionalist. Women like to be protected and like to be provided for. And that will never change. Never change.
So just to continue with an idea you were going with of being a traditionalist, do you guys believe there are inherent roles that are the women's role and inherent roles that are the men's role? And if so, why in 2024's like?
See, I'm gonna be controversial. Only in our society where we would like the car is running good. Oh, let me just mess with the spark plug, just for messing with the spark plug's sake, and then it's all off kilter. Yes, we can all evolve and grow, but we're not. It's still inherent the same. If it's working, why are you trying to fix it? That's my thing. If it's working, if it's worked for centuries, if it's worked over and over again, and people can say, "Oh, it's not working," like the reason it hasn't worked is because, to me, men are more feminine, and women don't like feminine men, as we discussed. So that there's a problem because everybody likes the opposite energy.
Crystal, how you feeling?
So for me, like I kind of see where he's trying to go with it, I guess.
Well, elaborate to your idea of it.
So for me, I don't think that there is in these days, especially the times we're living in now, with the way expenses and stuff like that are. It's got both people have to work in the home. Like it's just almost impossible unless you have multiple kids, and it only makes sense for one person to stay home because the amount of daycare you're paying for is not even worth you working. So, but as far as it goes, like we both work. You know, granted, our kids are a little older, so we don't have to worry about daycare and all that kind of stuff. But we both work because we couldn't survive if we didn't. But we don't have roles in our home of I cook, I clean, I do all this stuff. No, we both do it. I don't do laundry. I freaking hate laundry. I don't do laundry. He does all of our laundry. He does it.
See, I'll tell you.
And he does dishes, and he cooks, and he helps me clean. Like we do everything together. Like we do everything together. We don't just one person does this and one person does that, and oh, you work, and I could never be a stay-at-home mom. I've tried.
It's hard.
I don't.
What's your viewpoint on the whole idea of
Just
gender
like-
roles? We'll say.
Just like she said, I don't believe in that. I think you come together as a team, and it makes everybody's life easier. You can't just the woman cooks, cleans, and the dude provides for everybody. Like I think you both work and you do it together as a team.
I get what you're saying because, like you guys have been saying, it's not about the individual; it's about the group. Because in a couple, it's exactly that. It's two people. It's a couple. You're working together through the, we'll say, non-traditional gender roles.
And also, it depends on the situation. Because, like I said,
Yeah.
if you've got to stay home because it only makes sense for you to stay home with your 3 or 4 kids instead of paying $1,000 a month in daycare,
Yes,
then yes, like I 100% think that if a man is out working and providing and doing all of that stuff, which he's probably having to work more and work longer hours if he's the only one working, then yes, the woman is home, you're with the kids, you're going to cook, you're going to clean, all this stuff. But that doesn't mean that the man, even though he's been working all day, so has the woman at home.
Right.
Yes.
You can still come home and help her. Bedtime, bath time, whatever. My brother has always let my sister-in-law be a stay-at-home mom their entire marriage. They've been married, I think, 20 years now. And she's always been a stay-at-home mom because that's just how they chose to do it. He had a really great job, or he still does. And he's been able to provide for them. But every day when he came home, he helped her clean up after dinner, get the kids ready for bed, bath time, all that stuff, and gave her relaxed time too. Because just because we're home with the kids doesn't mean that we're not working. That is a full-time job. I've done it.
Yeah.
Don't like it, but I've done it. And so I really think it depends on the situation, because I mean, sometimes it just makes sense for, a woman, or sometimes the man. Like if a woman has a better job than a man, then,
Vice
he can
versa.
stay home with the kids. It makes sense. Whoever's making
AKA
the most
Stedman.
money.
AKA Stedman, Oprah's husband.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some
But
people
I
don't
mean,
even
obviously,
get that.
if I've got like a 6-figure job and he's making $20 an hour, like, what are you working for? To
No,
pay
I
for
get that.
daycare? Like, you know what I mean? So you can stay home, cool. You can take care of the kids. I don't think there's any reason why a man can't stay home and take care of kids either.
No, it's equal, and that's why we were kind of having the conversation of gender roles and things like that. So, B Rock, how you feeling on this?
I honestly say that from from being grown up in the church and whatnot, the man is supposed to be the head of the table, the woman is supposed to be the neck to keep him on his pivot and whatnot. Within the time frame of back then, from what women used to do of cleaning and cooking and all that good jazz, that was completely acceptable, understanding and whatnot. But with the times that change and with the times that come on now, we have to evolve. We have to learn how to nurture each other and how to better explain things to each other and be there for each other. But at the same time, it's just certain things that have been instilled from past tense and from peers of mine that I've seen grow up, like my grandmother and my grandma, my grandmother and my grandpa. My grandpa, he used to work in a mill, like he used to work hard hours. And at the end of the day, it may have not been a lot, but it was enough to get them over into the following month. And then they did it each and every day together. My grandpa used to walk in 6 inches of snow to go get groceries and stuff. So it's just like, there's certain things that the man's supposed to do and certain rules that apply to the woman. Just like when prior to the conversation about, if, like Jesse said, if a man break into the house,
Right.
you ain't gonna see no woman jump up and run to the front door not knowing what's coming. More than likely, if they got a man by their side, they're gonna want that man to go and object to that thing. So at the same time, with that method and this method is just certain things that have to be followed to a blueprint, respected, but as well we do also need to evolve. So that's all I got.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
And I can say really quick on that intruder thing, for being the independent woman I am. I would normally be the one to be like, I would go down there and see what's going on, because, well, I've always been a single mom, but we've had an incident where we thought someone was coming in. I'm like, babe, what is that?
So it happens
So
like
I'm
that.
quick to jump in too, even though I am like, I would absolutely do it if I had to. But if he's here, yeah, I ain't.
Now, let me flip this a
Yeah.
little bit and bring it to the funnier side of this. So I was having a conversation with my wife the other day about a really funny thing that women do. It's a man's job. Imagine a man takes a piece of paper, and on this piece of paper, he writes down 7 things. And he hands this list of 7 things to his wife and said, honey, by the time I get home from work, I expect these things to be done. What do you think would happen to that man who wrote down a list of honey-do items for his wife to complete before he gets home from work?
He would mysteriously disappear.
Exactly.
No, I don't believe that at all. Like with him and I, like there's so many things that like he is the more, masculine, he's the dad, whatever. But there's a lot of things like I grew up under my dad's arm, just doing everything my dad was doing. I grew up with 5 brothers.
Right.
So there's a lot of things. I know how to work on cars. I know how to fix things. I know how to work on work with wood. I know how to do all that stuff. Where he had his uncles he grew up with, but he didn't have his dad. So like he never really got to get taught those things. And it's not that he's not willing, because if I'm like, come out here and I'll show you how to do something, but he's not like, I don't want a woman to show me how to do it. He's like, show me how to do it so I can do it. So you don't got to do it. You know what I mean? And that to me is a man. A man to me is someone who's willing to learn. If they don't know, they're willing to learn it. Yeah. And it's like, just because I'm a woman and I know how to change the oil in a car and he doesn't, that doesn't make him less of a fucking man. That doesn't make him less masculine, and that doesn't make me masculine. I just grew up with my dad and he taught me how to do this stuff. Because I'm from the country, and if you don't know how to change your tire, change your oil, then you don't need to drive.
Right.
But that's just like, and I don't think that there's women duty and man duties. Like,
Yeah.
I would never give him a list and say, these are man things, you need to do those. And he would never give me a list and say, these are women things, you need to do this.
That's
Well,
what
and
we-
I don't
Who
mean
the-
the
who
list
the hell?
primarily just in the idea of things.
I
men
know what
have
you're
to do,
talking
but
about,
yeah,
though. Like, women are really quick to write down this honeydew list for men all the time. Like,
but on the flip side of
Yeah.
that, like imagine any guy in the history of the world were to do that now.
yeah, no.
It would be a
would not
completely different
happen.
conversation, and it just goes to the idea of how we think about relationships and the whole men versus women masculinity idea. Because, like you said, it's a couple. We're all in this together. No singing. Anyway,
Now I want to sing it.
and that's why I did it, folks. Anyway, so how do you guys feel with what we're talking about? How do you feel the whole social environment of the world has developed us to where we are? Kind of like you were talking, you were under your dad's arm, you had brothers and grew up, so you have more of the masculine ideal. Whereas for a guy, there's some of us who, like myself, I grew up with basically all women. I didn't know my dad until later in life. So I didn't really have that masculine idea. So how do you feel, and we'll start at this end and work our way that way, I guess. How do you guys feel the social dynamic of the world has changed that aspect? Men being too feminine, women being too masculine.
Well, I would say that it would come into the line of like with parents, with the parenting of being together, having a strong structure just with the foundation in order to bring life into this world so that therefore the child can be brought up right, having the soft side of the coin and also the hard side, the soft side being the mother and the father figure being the harder side of it, so he can get a balance of both. Nowadays with certain children growing up nowadays, and I know you all can agree with me, teenagers, young men that live in a household with their mother, they can more than likely snap at their mother. They can push them around, start talking crazy to them,
There's a little
X,
bit of
Y, and
push.
Z. And then there's nothing the mother can do other than see her son go down the hole, you know what I'm saying? Go down the bad path. But then with a father figure and just having a hard person on you all the time, being strict on you, pushing on you and X, Y, and Z, it can also bring a rough side on that kid where they don't know how to be gentle. They don't know how to love. They don't know how to give compassion back, how to understand, how to learn, how to accepting how to learn something else other than what they have been shown from the blueprint. So I can honestly say that it all starts from mother and father,
Yes.
period. So therefore, if you're willing to put a child in his life, be willing to also give them both sides of the teaspoon. You know what I'm saying? Let them have both equal opportunities. So therefore, they can never say, "Oh, I wasn't taught this," or "I wasn't given this and that and the other." And that's what you hear a lot of today. Nowadays, you hear these kids saying, "Oh, I ain't had this in my life. Oh, I ain't had it in my life." Some of us, we didn't have it, but we learned how to expand. We learned how to be better men, better women. So that's why we are
Because you
where
were
we are now.
teachable.
Yes.
That's my input on it.
No, I like it. And like we've been saying, this conversation is just about that. We're trying to have those hard conversations to find out couples, things like that. And sometimes it may touch on something a little deep. So, Marissa, how do you feel on this? With the whole idea of
You took
relationship.
everything that I was gonna say. He took every word out of my mouth.
You thief. No. But
No, I agree with him 100% what he said though, and it's not. Again, I don't think it's so much men being feminine because they grew up around women, or women being feminine because they grew up around men.
well,
I
just in
think
that
it's
idea,
just-
not to like interrupt you, meaning like if a girl is raised by a guy, there's more of a chance that she'll be like growing up in garages or things like that.
Right.
whereas a man or a boy who is raised by women may grow up in like hair salons, so they know a bit more about things
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
So how do you think that really, not those exact examples, but like you were
Well,
saying?
no, I can agree with what he's saying, and I think from being someone who has been a single mom and has boys, it's they either grow up what you call a mama's boy and like on the tit, if you will, or
Yeah.
they grow up as they're the man of the house. You know, the older boys and stuff, they're the man of the house, so they've got to be strong. They get, so then they become like extra hard, and they've blocked everything because they've had to be such a man and be so hard most of their lives. And so I think you get like two types of men, you know what I mean, when it comes from that. With girls, it's like you grow up like a tomboy, whatever. You grow up with your dad, your brothers, you're doing this and that. You just kind of grow up a tomboy. But I think with men, you either get this rock solid hard person who eventually in life is going to break down because of everything they've had to hold back and hold in, or you get this really soft boy.
Yeah.
And that's where and he said, it should be instilled from, they should be able to get both parts. That's where the whole being a single mom, being masculine, that's where that comes in. Because there is no son of mine that's going to run over me. There's no son of mine that's going to talk down to me and treat me any kind of way. That's where I have to be masculine and do that because their dad's not there. So then I have to be masculine and I have to be the hard one because I'll be damned if anybody is going to talk to me that way, let alone my child. So you got to knock them down a few steps. And then once you have a man who is in the picture, who's willing to step up where somebody else didn't and be that male energy that they need, because boys need men. They need it. They do. There's such a difference. Like I could tell my son one thing and sometimes he just wants to kind of fluff it off, where if it was just me, then I'd come down hard on him. But then he can say the same thing and I don't have to. And then all of a sudden it means something because it came out of his mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause he's the boss.
Right.
You know what
But
I mean?
no, because he's a man and it's almost like he's a boy, so he respects that more
Mm-hmm.
because he's a man and these young boys want to grow up to be men.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts. Go ahead.
All right, so my thoughts on, I'm gonna personalize this. I was blessed with older brothers. So I had older brothers and I had OGs. Always had OGs. Always hung out with the older dudes. They gave me game. I learned everything I need to learn streetwise, how to move in these streets, how to move in general. I was like I was raised up young. I was doing everything adults do by the age of 13. So I was always looking for that father figure when I was little, but I always had a brother. I always had an older brother that took that role for me, and then my OGs, my mentors. Big Dave, he's in heaven right now, but he's one of my OGs. He taught me not to sell drugs, not to go in these streets, not to talk too much ish, because people will shoot you, people will cut you. Like he taught me all I need to know. And then my uncles taught me fishing, taught me how to shoot guns, all that stuff. We even blew a bleezy. The first time I blew a bleezy, my Uncle Gus, shout out to Uncle Gus, he took me down a country road, Louisiana, and said, "I'm the real Puff Daddy." I'll never forget that.
He said, "I'm the real Puff Daddy."
No,
That's awesome.
see, and that's what we were saying. It's not specifically about the feminine or the masculine energy, as you see from what we've all said. It's about not just the couple, but the community. It's the people you have around you. It's the
It takes
influence
a
in the
village to
environment.
raise a child.
Yes,
It
it
takes a
really
village.
does.
It takes a
Definitely.
village.
So let me ask and transition to a loaded question. So with this, do you guys believe it's okay for either side to have a preference? Is it just as fair for a woman to be like, I want a man 6 foot tall, big bank account, house, car, and all this stuff, and a man not to be able to be like, I want a woman who check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark.
Won't happen.
No, for real, that's unrealistic.
It won't
Like,
happen.
you're not gonna get
It won't happen. Let it
everything
go.
on your list.
Let it go. I'm
to
sorry.
me,
Can
I don't
can
think there should be. To me, it's not
Hold up.
preferences.
Hey.
Okay, Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say.
you're
shotgun
not-
play.
His seat.
We'll
Let him
spit
start.
it.
I know.
So we
I'm
have
about to
some
hit
order.
something,
We
mama.
have some order. We'll start at this end. Actually, we'll start at that end because we started at this
No,
end.
start down
No.
here.
We started at that end, and then we'll
Start
work our
down
way this way.
Bring that
So we
in.
have
He's
some order.
about to fall out of the chair.
He's got too much excitement for this one, so we will say,
Talking about.
Mr. Maine Wayne, how do you feel?
Now, everybody knows my philosophy on this. I have stated this. I can write a thesis on this. Now, people call me sexist. People call me
Professor Maine
misogynistic.
Wayne.
Misogynistic. I like my woman to cook because that's a nurturer. It brings it back to being a nurturer.
And for the audience out there, she doesn't have to cook. She just needs to know how. Okay. Want to make that clarification for anybody
It's a
out there in the
skill,
world.
people. That's like I'm gonna just make an analogy. If you wanted a secretary and she didn't know how to type, would you hire that secretary?
No.
No.
You wouldn't. That's my preference.
So it's a qualification,
It's a
we'll say, that
qualification.
you would like her to have, but it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah, bachelor's in cooking.
It is a deal breaker for him.
And that's why I was asking,
Yeah, it's a
would
deal
that
breaker.
be a deal breaker?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so preferences, like we were talking.
But would you be able to teach her?
Yes, I'll be able to teach you because I know how to
Okay, well, if you do
But if
that,
she
will
don't
it
know
be
how to
a
cook, then
deal
you can teach
breaker?
Like if she
You
didn't
know
know
what?
how
This
to
doesn't
cook.
matter because he stuck with me forever.
I know, and
So-
we're just talking
I'm
preferences.
just asking. I'm
But
just asking.
if she would want to learn to cook, would that, smooth out the waters a little more?
Let me just break it down to y'all. Every woman I have ever dated can cook. Every single one. Why? Because that's my qualification.
I get you.
That's just how it is.
Everybody has the right to have their own preferences. Crystal, do you believe that we should hold so tightly to our preferences like that?
Well, I don't think it should be called preferences. It's everyone's allowed to have standards. And I
That's
think
a
there's a
good
difference
one.
between standards and preferences.
Yeah.
So you can have standards, then your standards are what? Not your preferences, your standards.
On my base standards, you gotta have some kind of education. That's some of my standards. You gotta have goals. You gotta be working towards something. You can't be lazy.
So you want someone who's driven.
Yeah, I don't like laziness.
Okay.
I
So
do
to
not
me,
like laziness.
I think preferences can budge because a preference is a preference. Now standards, I agree. I want someone who has goals in life. I want someone who is on my level with where I'm at in life. I don't want to be having to drag someone around behind me because I'm going somewhere. I will do everything I can to go where I need to go, and I need someone who's willing to ride with me. But preferences to me is like you said, like the girl's like, I want to meet a 6'5", he makes 6 figures a year. That's unrealistic expectations, honestly, to me.
They get two
Because-
cat bags for
The
that.
reason I was kind of phrasing it as such is because that has become the new standard.
Yes, it has. And it's not.
It's no longer what I prefer in a
Not
man,
good.
it's what he has to have.
Right, and then you see
And
these
that's-
women that say this, correct me if I'm wrong, they're single. Are they not? They're
Yes.
single.
And they can't.
Do you know why they're
find someone
single?
Because they're picky.
Because they're entirely too picky. They don't even know what they want. You know what attracted me to him? It had nothing to do with his looks. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was his personality and how he treated me. That's what attracted me to him. Because I pushed this man aside for years. For years.
Well, you don't gotta say it like that.
No,
but,
I did. And even towards like when he was like back at me this time, like trying to get with me and stuff like that, I honest to God thought he was too
I'm
good for
laughing at
me.
you. Yeah,
It had nothing to do with I pushed him off for years because he wasn't attractive to me or da. I thought he was too good for me, and that like I was gonna fuck him up, like I really did.
She was gonna ruin you.
And then
was-
I had
I
to
was
finally
Brock
say,
Purdy. I was Brock
okay,
Purdy.
okay, I will, because he was about to give up on me. He was like, fuck this. Like, I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried. And he's like, I don't chase nobody. But he chased me. But
So,
Well,
Marissa, same question. Do you feel that we should hold so tightly to the standards or the preferences that we have for who we date like that?
Standards, yes. Preferences, no. Because they're unrealistic, like she said.
Mr. Brock?
Oh, that's on me now.
It is your
Oh,
turn. It's
damn.
your.
Okay, I got you.
You have
I
Well,
agree.
I was gonna say, my preference, pretty much, you know what I'm saying. I'm standing on preferences. God fearing. They gotta be God fearing. Gotta believe in the Lord above. Gotta have a structure. That's my platform. That's my structure. That's why I start. Outside of that, it would come into loving. You know what I'm saying? Cooking, of course, in that category. But then, we can always, jump back and forth to standards and preferences and things of that nature, because certain people that be like, oh, well, if this person making six figures and they meet a woman and they making six figures, or vice versa, this woman making six figures, this man they make six figures, you want somebody to be where you at, but they not there yet. Are you willing to slow down what you doing to get them to that route? Or are you just gonna be that person to be like this? I'm here, you ain't never gonna reach to this level. I ain't got time for you. That would be the preference, you know what I'm saying? But then the standards is that you got a person that got anxiety, depression, got certain things going on. They like, you got to find your way through that. You got to find your way through the turmoil. You got to find your way through all the fighting and all the battling and the bickering back and forth, so you can appreciate that person.
Right.
You can love that person. You can be there for them. Now, certain people, you know what I'm saying, they gonna look at what I'm saying and get offended, feel how you feel, shotgun play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, everybody always they look for the next level up. They always look for the next step up, the next foot up, on somebody, the movement up. And regardless if they don't say they do it or don't do it, it's shown through the way that the years have changed over time. Because you can see a woman being with a man, and then this man can get her so successful, get her so built to where she wants to be. And then when she hits her pinnacle and he doesn't have what she needs anymore, he's gone. And then she's way up here, vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
A woman that had all these pinnacles and helped this man get to where he wanted to be, he's here now. She's gone. So those are preferences and standards at the same time. And all I would say is, that certain things, and like I said, certain people in the crowd will not like what I'm saying. Certain people in the audience ain't gonna, appreciate it. But that's just my viewpoint on it and how I feel on it as a whole.
That's okay, because you know what? We're here to talk about the things people don't want to talk
Exactly.
about. And I agree with that.
I'm going to discuss this. And preferences will get you single quick.
Yes.
Because I'm a numbers guy. Do you know, like, only probably like 8% of men are 6'5" and above?
Nope. I'm going to break this down a little further.
8% of men are 6'5" and above.
Random fact of the show.
2% of men.
But
make
I've
six
seen a
figures.
few videos about this, and don't quote me to the exact percentage, but you guys know how many men are above 6 foot, make over six figures, have their own house and all that?
Probably 0.5%.
Oh, right.
It is
Very
0.00 something. It's not even a full half, let alone a full percent of every man in the world. So I'm just saying, it's not that it can't happen. It's just not going to happen today. So,
And I'm going
And
to
this is why you're single.
put this in perspective. Some people ain't in the top 10, and they want somebody that's top 2. They be 30th ranked and want somebody who's second ranked. It don't work like that, boo boo.
Yeah.
It don't work like that. You gotta find a man who's in the 30 percentile that you in. Now, you it's a fairy tale. I read Disney Plus.
Not
It's a
always
fairy tale.
necessarily. I mean, the likelihood of finding this fantasy that you're looking for
The
is
fairy
very slim.
tale.
The fairy tale.
But like
Disney
he
Plus.
said, and it's kind of like what I said. It's not necessarily like if I'm already making 6 figures a year and he's making $20 an hour. To me, that's not like, oh, you're back here and I'm up here. No, it's as long as you are constantly striving to do better with your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be financially. Just doing something with your life. You're constantly striving. You're constantly have goals and stuff you want to do. That's what I mean by being next to me. Not necessarily because I make 6 figures, you need to make 6 figures, or we ain't equal. I don't play that shit.
Exactly.
I don't think that that's necessary. But like he said, and I've seen it many, many, many times, men and women both. They get with somebody and they help them rise up, and then I don't need you no more.
like, I, just for example, be like, I, as the man, worked really hard. I support you. You went to school. You got your 6-figure career. Now that you're there, I'm still at the bottom because I let you get where you're getting,
Right.
or I helped you, not let you, but helped you get where you're getting,
Right.
or the vice
So
versa.
that's where
Object.
they
Can I
need to
object?
come in
You
and
can throw in
help
your
you
2 cents.
go.
Okay.
And
And
so
this is not to go
intervene,
against
not
what Chris
object.
This is not to go against what Chris was saying, but then at the same method, if she has 6 figures, let's throw it down as a paint show here.
Yeah,
Let's say a woman got 6 figures. She making all this money. You stay at home dad. He want to go buy a bag of chips. He want to go buy a video game. He want to go just grab $20. Financially, he doesn't have those things. So regardless of the building of goals and striving for something, he has to have that. That is a part of a man's blueprint. A man cannot sit. As I said for my motto of 2024, man don't work, man don't eat. That's how I'm living. You don't come hunt, you don't get the first slice. You feel me? So at the end of the day, as a man, you have to work. Because how would it look for your woman to come home and you ain't got a dime to your name? Can you give me $3 so I can go get a popsicle?
But let me,
Who wants to do that?
let me throw it
Who
the
wants to
opposite
be
way.
that
Okay.
man?
Let me prompt a question, if I may.
Go ahead.
If we're acceptant of the idea of a stay-at-home mom, why do we have the double standard idea that we can't have a stay-at-home dad?
I wasn't saying it wasn't double standard.
No, not that it's a bad
Okay.
thing to be a stay-at-home dad. Just why would it be looked down on if he doesn't have a job or he's not doing all
My
that?
fault.
Because in that theory, his job would be the house.
So my question.
No, go for it.
So for your question and answer, to be exact. So who paying him an hour? Because you ain't gonna get paid by your significant other for watching y'all kids. Because that's a part of your duty as a father or woman in the household. So you're not getting paid hourly.
I have something to add.
And then secondly, you're at home all day. Everything is there that you need. You got all your good stuff that you need for the kids and for yourself to make it through the 24 hours. But then at the end of that week, when you want to go do something, how's it going to look when you grab your wife card or your husband card and he can see all the transactions you did? It's not a surprise anymore. It's nothing spectacular about it. It doesn't bring the excitement into a relationship. Because it's one person that's working. One person that's making 6 figures, that's traveling here and fro, doing X, Y, and Z for the family, spending times in motels and hotels, and then coming home the next day from a flight. And then this other person that is watching you, you guys as children, you don't have nothing for them. How does it look when you? Maybe I need some money so I can get some more Pampers. I'm just putting out a blueprint of where a man fall in line, and then
But it's
how
okay
how
for
both sides of the coin supposed to work here.
it's okay for a woman to call her man though.
No, not at all. No, I'm not saying that at
So
all.
where
either.
I see this is, it shouldn't. If you're in a marriage and you're in a relationship and you're that far and you got kids together and you're taking care of stuff, it shouldn't be my money, his money. It's
Exactly.
our money.
Yes.
Right.
So there's your money when you're staying home and caring, not watching, but caring for.
Right.
That's,
I agree upon that.
you
I didn't
guys
say it was like
have
sure.
money. Right. No, but I'm saying like you guys have money. So there's no baby I need money for Pampers. He should have his own card with your guys' account.
Mhm.
All right, and that's
Or
what's
yeah,
in the
you're
marriage of
right.
a got you.
That's how it should be.
Correct.
Now, if a
It's
woman
not
has a
always.
man staying at home and she's got him calling her, that's fucked up.
And in that method,
That's fucked
that is
up.
certain situations, 100% of the time, more than the
That's
other one
wrong.
of
Just
the joint
same as
account.
a woman
Because-
shouldn't have to call her husband and say, "I need money for this or that." No one should
Because-
have to call anybody
Right,
and
just
beg
go get
for
it.
Because
money.
even in 2024, I have seen posts, and also last year, of people that got married where mine is mine and theirs is theirs, and they don't do a joint account, they don't do all these X, Y things, because you know how things go. We all live in a real world here. We all know how this egg gets scrambled.
Right.
Keep it real with yourself. All I'm saying.
My opinion on this is why, and it does happen the other way 100 times more, because this is why we have the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Orange County.
Yeah.
They ask their husbands on the daily, "Can I get a Louis bag? Can I get a Fendi bag?"
They
Can I get a
don't
blanket?"
though.
Yes,
they
they
don't.
do.
They just have money. They have access to this money, or they have credit cards that they're being given. So they don't ask them for nothing.
Yes, they do.
They go get it.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
You may want to change the question.
They don't ask for shit. They go get it because they're these like, you know, they're these bougie ass stay at home wives, all this stuff. But it's like they don't ask for nothing. They have credit cards, they got debit cards. They just go get what they
They
want.
say, "Babe,"
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times if you watch something. "Babe, can I get your credit card? He'd be like, yeah. And then she buy her.
That's for show. Don't let it fool you.
That's just why you're on
That's just
camera.
for show.
Where's the allowance?
But I also agree with what he's saying nowadays. Like, you know, a lot of things are different, and we've all been burnt so much. So even after we get married, you know, if you're both working, a lot of times people want to keep separate accounts, and they like,
Like
I ain't putting my money together because what if something happens? You finna clear me out. You know what I mean? We've all been burnt so much, but. And I've
In
been
the
in that
real
situation where I'm like, I am not having an
that's what
account
we're,
with
that's
you.
what we're talking like.
But
move the smoke
I
out the
am
way and the white
with-
curtains.
But I am with him at the point of,
See
and we're
this
not
dark
even
street.
married yet.
Mm.
But I'm at the, well, I say yet, like I'm expecting something. We ain't even engaged. So,
right.
but if we were to ever get married, I would be comfortable enough to have a joint account with him.
Same.
150%. But I think we should each be able to have our own accounts as well.
Yeah, because
You know, like having a joint account where bills and
For
all the
bills
shit
and
needs to
Exactly.
be taken care of. But let's each have an account for spending. Like he said, if he wants to buy her something and they have a joint account, she can see that he went out and bought her something, and it's not a surprise. Like, how's he supposed to surprise her? She's like, "What the hell was you doing at fucking sales?" I don't know. You know what
Who'd
I
you
mean?
buy this
Let's
for?
Yeah.
let's break this down. In this situation, you need to have somebody who's good with money. Both of y'all can't be bad with money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
That's true. You can't both be out here impulsively spending on shit, and then you ain't got no house.
Then
Ain't
you-
got a pocket
Yeah.
piston.
no, I get you, and that's why I was trying
You'd be
to.
like, why don't I buy that polar bear face? You'd be looking at it like, why'd you buy this?
I don't know. I just bought it, but this is why we have conversations like this, trying to figure out if the standards and the ideas of everything are as copacetic as they should be or they are, because as we know, they're not. I think this is where we're going to call it for the day, folks. We thank you again joining us on Gents Making Sense. It's Mr. Matters.
It is Main Wayne. Like, subscribe, comment, leave an emoji. What you got, bro?
It's your boy B Rock. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that good jazz, all the platforms, even YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you follow us on there.
We're not on Twitter, just
Yeah.
Once again, we thank you guys for staying tuned. Shout out for all the people watching, all 100 subscribers and whatnot. You guys have a great one.
And we out.
Want more Gents Making Sense? Just subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.